Okay. Oh. Let's try again. So, anybody who doesn't know me, my name is Kate and I'm a trauma-informed clinical hypnotherapist, practitioner and coach. And I help women to break free from the overwhelming effects of anxiety and stress so they can start to live the best life possible. So today I am going to, hopefully as long as the internet allows me to, this is my second attempt at this, to explain to you why brain fog occurs, and also we've all had those days where we've had every challenge thrown at us left, right and centre, and we've kept it together. And then it's been the slightest little thing that's literally made us blow up. And it could be something simple like we spill a glass of water, or we can't open something in the kitchen, or it can be really the slightest little thing, and we're like, ah! That is because of our capacity to cope has gone on overload, okay? So I'm just going to show you this little visual here. Okay, so this is our happy little hippocampus. Well, I say our happy large hippocampus, which is has plenty of capacity. Okay, and this is what stores our long-term memories. Now, as we go through life, okay, if you imagine. I'm having a problem as well getting on live on my laptop as well, so I do apologise for this small screen. Anyway, so if you look at this visual here, if you imagine these marbles here are events in our life, okay? So we have the little events, okay, and these all build up, and we have the medium events, and we have these really big boulders of events that come along and literally torpedo us out of the water. Okay, now all these, if they're not processed, if our system doesn't process these events, are stored here in the hippocampus, and over time these can build up and build up and build up and build up. And as you can see, eventually the capacity gets full. So if you consider you've had a whole load of challenges thrown at you through the day, and you've got this little marble here that's sitting there on top, and it's literally overflowed your capacity. You can't cope anymore. It's like, I can't take any more of this because all your capacity is full. Yeah? And that is what causes the brain fog. If you're trying to think of long-term events and your capacity is full to the brim, if you're trying to access some memories from down here, or even in the middle here, or even here, you may not be able to get them because there's no breathing space in the hippocampus to access them effectively. And that is essentially what causes it. And this is why, as part of the process that I take people through, we need to identify what all these events are, big and small. Identify what the emotions are linked to each event. What story did we attach to each event, and what was inescapable about it, so that then we can establish where there's a couple of events that have a common denominator, and we can timestamp the emotion. It's the emotion that we need to timestamp. So an exercise I want you to do is I want you to go through, literally write down, go from birth right the way through to present day, all your events that have happened in your life that have made you feel overwhelmed, that they've given you a sense of overwhelm. And I want you to just imagine, now if you want this visual, you more like it, just comment below and I can send it to you. Imagine you've got a bucket, okay, and you can use this, you can have this visual if you want and print it out. Imagine these are rocks, okay, and you've got different size rocks. You've got your large boulders, you've got your medium one, you've got your little tiny little pebbles, which would be really small events. Fill up your bucket. Fill up your bucket and see how many buckets you can fill up. How many big buckets would you be able to fill up with your little medium and small, medium and large events? And that will give you an idea as to how full your capacity is. But yeah, really, really pin down. I don't know who's on, by the way. Facebook isn't showing me. Really, really pin down what the emotions are linked to each event. What is the story you attach to it? Now, when I say a story, I mean I am not good enough. I am not lovable. I am a failure. I am invisible. I am whatever it is to you. Think of, or I am to blame. It's my fault. Have a think about what story you attach to that event and those emotions, and then have a think about what burden was attached to that event as well. So it could be, I have to be perfect. I have to be perfect to be worthy of somebody's attention. I have to be perfect to be worthy of somebody's time, love and affection. I have to be perfect to be noticed. I have to be, mine was, I have to be successful. And that's a huge burden, huge burden. I have to be successful to be loved. I have to be successful to be noticed. I have to be successful to be seen and heard and exist. That was my burden that I carried throughout my whole life. And it really, really held me back. So really have a think about all your events, and have a think. A lot of them will have the common denominator, and they all will have their own individual different landscapes. So they may not all be identical landscapes. They may have had their own individual unique stamp that they've left. However, we need to identify what the root belief is, what the root emotions are, and what the root burden is, because that will have contributed to everything else moving forward. All those other events, so all those events in here that have filled up this hippocampus capacity, they will all have a common denominator. Yes, they may have all left their own individual stamp, okay, because the landscape may not be identical. There'll be slight differences in the landscape, okay, but they will all have one or a couple of root emotions, core beliefs, and core burdens attached to them. When I'm working with somebody, I will then deal with that root one first, because that is going to desensitize everything else moving forward. And it makes it easier then to deal with all these little, it's just a mopping up job then, because we will have dealt with the biggest root cause of the problem, which is the earliest memory. So that is what you need to identify. Is you need to go through all your events, list your emotions, list your story that you've attached to it, list your burden, and trace them all back until you have the earliest one of the common denominators. That's what you need to do. And they will all have a similar, whether it be abandonment, whether it be fear, whether it be there'll be something that is linked strongly to every single event that you've gone through throughout your whole life. So let's say in a domestic abuse situation, it isn't the domestic abuse, as traumatic as the domestic abuse is, and that will have left its own little mark. But that is not the problem. The problem is what has led you to a domestic abusive relationship in the first place. And that's why this exercise is so important. We need to trace it right back to the beginning of time, even to the womb. You can even go back as far as the womb. So you need to really look at, was my mom in a traumatic state when she was carrying me? Because that will have had an impact on you as well. So all these things will have had an impact. It's then a case of, establishing, well, what were the emotions that my mum was feeling? Because those will have been passed on to you in the womb. So, and I know that sounds very, very woo-woo, but there's actually clinical evidence to back that up, that the mother's cortisol passed on from mother to baby, causes the baby's system to be hypervigilant, hyper alert, thinking the world, its surroundings is dangerous, and it needs to be on guard all the time. So that baby comes into the world not being able to regulate its emotions effectively, and the slightest little thing will dysregulate it. Everything is scary. So you need to really establish where this has started. It can be a little bit more complex when it has come from the womb. We usually have to deal with the most earliest event that you can possibly remember, to desensitize all that first, so that you're not dysregulated when we go a bit further back into other things. But it can be done. So that's what I want you to do. I want you to just go through your events and establish what are the emotions that we need to de-encode from the amygdala, and desensitize. What is it? What is it we need to be working on? Because until we find that out, you can't deal with any of the present issues until we do our history taking. So that is that little workshop for today. I hope you found it helpful. And that is essentially what causes brain fog. It is an overload of capacity, and as we slowly timestamp these things, we create more space within the hippocampus, and the hippocampus capacity will expand, and that brain fog won't be there. You'll be able to remember past things. I mean, this is another thing that happens when we process events. So as we timestamp and we process some of these events within our capacity, there'll be things that will come to the surface that you may have completely forgotten about. There'll be events from your past that you'll be like, oh God, I forgot about that. And it happens to me. I mean, there's things that are coming to up for me in terms of remembering. Not that they're actually activating me, but it's like some things I forgot. I mean, it was only because I've been going through some paperwork for the courts. I remembered, oh God, yeah, the police came round to check on me that time because they pulled him over, and whatever he said caused enough concern that they weren't just satisfied with ringing to see if I was okay. They needed to send an officer around to see if I was okay. And I live in a completely different area to where he was pulled. So they had to obviously contact that area's constabulary to do that. But that was something I forgot about. I completely forgot about it. Not that I forgot about it, it was just not in my capacity. My capacity was full and I couldn't access that memory. So that's something that you will find, and I find this a lot when I work with people as well. We'll clear it away. They'll get some breakthroughs, and then I'd be like, oh God, I forgot about that. This happened with my mom. This happened with my dad. This happened at school. This happened. And if there's a little bit of activation still there, there will be a common denominator from the original one that we've desensitized from that we've worked on, because we've desensitized everything else moving forward, remember. But that event itself will have left its own mark because it's a slightly different landscape. There's a slightly different twist to the story. And we just work on that. So this is how healing works. There isn't a quick fix to it. Some people can get quicker breakthroughs than others, depending on how many events you've got through your life and how many different variations of the landscape there are. So anyway, I hope you found that helpful. And if anybody wants this visual, you're more than welcome to it. If you just drop me a comment and I can get that over to you if you want that. Yeah. So next week I will do another workshop. I'm not quite sure on what I'll do it on yet. I will work that one out. But I will do another one on, I'd say I'm trying to try and do these every Thursday at 10:30. It is late today because I had internet problems. I couldn't get on Facebook Live at all. So, but we're on now. Anyway, have a great day, everybody, and I shall catch you all again next week. But I will be on every day with videos anyway, as I have been each day. All right, speak to you all soon. Bye.